Hey everybody, Countdown RVHS here. Today I thought we would take a look at Strategos. This is the demo version that I just downloaded yesterday. I had a go at the first tutorial, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. And so I thought maybe we could do a quick video just taking a look at it. I haven't looked at the manual, haven't really looked at it beyond doing that very first tutorial. So let's jump into the intermediate. This is going to be a new one for me. And what I like about this so far, there is a very nice feel to the controls. Sometimes that can be a barrier to me to actually playing a game, is if it feels too clunky, too sluggish, something like that. Very nice sort of feedback there. I'm really loving actually, the lack of battlefield control. This is the main thing that got me interested in this game, which is the idea that, you know, in an actual ancient battlefield, you are not going to have absolute control over each individual unit. And in a Total War game, you definitely do. So I'm really interested to see this. All right, so welcome to Strategos Advanced Concepts tutorial. So we can open and close these, yada yada. Terrain can be moderately or severely disordering. So disorder is one feature of this game that you have to keep track of. And just sort of in a very general way, if you're absolutely new to this, you have no idea what I'm talking about here. Strategos is a battle simulator. It's mostly ancient stuff from what I can tell. What do we have here? Like companion cavalry, mercenary hoplites, the Pez Hetai Roy. I'm not pronouncing any of these names right, I'm sure, but basically this is like sort of a Hellenistic Macedonian style army. And so this is not a campaign. There are going to be at some point sort of campaign modes, but my understanding is that those will be like a series of linked battles. I would love it if there was something a little bit more, even if it was an extremely rudimentary campaign. I understand it's just like one guy working on this, but what would absolutely make this a knockout purchase for me is if there was something like the most basic Medieval 1 or Shogun 1 level of like Total War style campaign. There's a map, you have armies, you click a province nearby and you invade it, and you kind of get to decide your army composition a little bit. I would be totally fine with that, just to give me, sort of a strategic level overview. But this looks fantastic regardless. We're going to see a lot of the aesthetic seems very similar to like Rome Total War in terms of the units. I think that's great. They're clearly intended to be like miniatures with the sort of the art style, so I'm completely on board with that. And what I love about it is just these factors that you as the general would have very little control over, and one of those is this idea of disorder. So what do we have? Rough ground hinders mounted units and heavy infantry. Trees has the same effect, with also severely hindering pikemen and cataphracts. Hindered units suffer a 40% reduction in final POA. POA, what's that? I don't know. I guess maybe we'll learn what that is. And severe hindrance, like being fragmented, adds a stacking additional 30% reduction on the final POA. Hindered units have a hindrance foot symbol. Okay. Trees provide cover and concealment. Great. Reduces effectiveness of incoming fire. That's awesome. This is something that's mentioned in like Total War games, but I don't know if it actually, to what extent it does that. So, what I really like about this is the transparency in the numbers. Okay. Heavy foot has greater staying power than medium foot in the open, but are hindered by terrain, unlike medium foot, who can fight as well inside terrain as outside of it. Okay. Overlapping. Friendly non-lighter cavalry units also hinder each other. So heavy infantry you got to keep separate. You can't just blob up a bunch of units and click the enemy in this game. Okay, so let's just, I'm giving this a really cursory read through. Press the start button. Move your bowmen into the rocky terrain ahead of them. So my bowmen are, where are my bowmen? Which army am I? I guess I'm these guys, right? All right, now let's see. I don't know how this is going to work out on my system and how well this is going to translate to you, because my impression is we've got a lot of nice detail on like the terrain here. The units are, it's a little annoying to sort of zoom around. I'd like it if we could just sort of rotate more around an axis. But regardless, so here's my archers here. Here's my mercenary hoplites. I love the style of these. They're also individual, much more so than, you know, some of the earlier Total War games. And then we got, I guess this is the general, the companion cav. Maybe a bit smoother zoom in, zoom out would be nice, and like camera rotation. But I really like the visual of this. Okay, so this is also mine. Okay, here's my bowman, or one unit of them at any rate. One unit here, and then we've got light archers. Okay, versus bowmen. Okay, so there's actually a distinction. On the one hand, we've got this very well-organized unit led by a cool-looking spearman officer. Sorry for the janky zooming. This is, when I go one out, that's what it does. Okay, so we've got that, and then we've got this much looser group, which is going to be less affected by this rocky terrain. And here's a rocky terrain, very clearly indicated here. All right, so we're going to give you guys move orders. Let's bring you up. All right, can we do that? Yeah, and then we got to click start. Okay. You go there. You go there. All right, and we're getting attacked. Our mercenary hoplites are being attacked by these Eastern light archers. All right, and so now we're getting into the terrain. I think these numbers are indicating the losses. Okay. So you must have line of sight of enemies to see them and to shoot them. Hills, trees, and sheer distance can block line of sight. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Unit in terrain has a mountain symbol on its banner and a hindrance icon if it's hindered. Okay. There are nearby enemy bowmen in the copse of trees ahead of your forces, but you cannot see them as they are concealed. They will reveal their position by shooting at you if you come into range, or if you otherwise get close enough to see them. Note that for the sake of this tutorial, the AI is largely passive. Alright, so send your left flank medium foot Hippaspitai spearmen into the trees ahead of them to attack the enemy bowmen. Alright. Let's just get in here. Now, we need to wait for the courier. This is like the much advertised courier system. I clicked and nothing happened until the general sent a courier over. So the general has a radius of command. All units within this circle will more or less respond to orders directly, and they can receive like inspiration, I guess, from the general. Units outside of it, like all of these guys, will need to send a courier. You've got 5 couriers, and each one, right, removes one of these, and so you can't send orders to like 10 units. Maybe that will improve over time. But here's the archers. Let's watch our guys trundling in towards them here. So much of the gameplay here is you watching your guys do stuff. And there's a big part of me that wants to like take these guys and have them flank and give orders, but then you realize they're not responding because the courier needs to get to them. So there's a lot of habits you will have to unlearn, is my impression, if you are a Total War player. Because the idea of just guys doing whatever is kind of out the window. Now, the other thing that's neat is that all of these guys have an anarchy radius, which gives you a sense of... here, I just clicked it. So there's the red circle around this unit. That tells you how close an enemy unit has to be for them to automatically fight. So as it said in the first tutorial, you're not just going to want to give individual attack orders. The more efficient thing to do is to give your guys a move order to kind of where you want them to be, and then they will attack when that is reasonable to do so, i.e. when they get within, the enemy gets within that radius. Okay, so combat in the trees has begun. We're going to hover the enemy bowmen. They are in combat with to see the most recently resolved combat. Okay. Okay, so these are like, it's a turn-based thing almost, where you have different dice rolls, and that is a resolved combat. Okay, interesting. And so we won. All right. Try selecting your companion cav and hovering the enemy bowman to see how badly their POA would be affected by severe hindrance. Okay, impact POA. Okay. I'm not really sure what POA stands for. Either I missed that in the first one or somewhere else. For Lancers, Pikemen, and some other unit types, the base impact and melee POAs are negatively affected in addition to the flat rate reduction after all calculations are made. And there's a manual we could read here. So, general combat advice. Pike and Lancer are reduced by hindrance, whereas two-hander sword, javelin, and elephant are unaffected by terrain. Okay, seems straightforward. The Pikes, the Lancers, are the guys who need formations to work. Mounted units have a malus on impact against steady spears, but advantage against medium foot, especially bowmen in the open. Okay, swordsman POA is boosted against unsteady enemies. All right, cataphract's better in extended melee. Javelins have lower range, but more AP. I'm assuming that means armor penetration. Light units are dispersed, more resistant to shooting, as are units with large shields. So my bowmen over here, the medium infantry, are not light, and so they do not have as much defense against shooting as my other bowmen do, my light archers, I suppose, who haven't taken any losses yet. Is that right? That seems crazy. Okay, what else we got? Light units are half the size of non-light units. Unsteady units shoot less effectively. Impact foot have excellent charge, tend to have lesser ongoing melee POAs. Warband have an even better charge and are oversized. Interesting. But they have a malus to cohesion checks, so are more brittle and are not great versus cav. I really love this. So there's a lot of potential here for different civilizations to have very different play styles, as you would expect. Okay, move your hoplites and pikemen into combat with the enemy Cardices to continue the tutorial. Where's my hoplites and pikemen? All right, where's the Cardices? That's the real question. Is this a card? Yeah, these are the Cardices, I guess. So what are these guys? These are, okay, looks like Persians to me. Looks Persian. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this. So it looks like they've got javelins, shields, and little axes. That looks awesome. So that's this is a armored cav unit. All right. So let's, yes, move hoplites and pikemen. So there's Pez and Pez. We'll move you guys up there, and we go, how do we see the, okay. Control is where you see that. We'll move, I think I want to wait on you, actually. I don't want you to go up just now. Okay, we routed them. I assume we're doing good. Okay, yeah. I think we're doing good. So I do love that there will be these pushes back and forth. And there were moments in the first tutorial where it felt like my guys were just retreating a few steps to get a breather, which strikes me as a probably very realistic occurrence. Look at that. So we're pushing right through. So they've got 193, we've got 192, but I think we're winning overall. I'm really liking this. Oh, I forgot to move you guys up, but maybe that's okay. Ah, see, yep, we need to get a courier, so I should have actually sent that sooner. Let's move you up. And actually, let's get the range toggle, because we're out of range here. Let's actually, I'm going to get you, like, up here. We're going to need another courier for that, but I think that's fine. And they're gone now. Now, I don't know this game well enough yet to know if they will come back. And so I don't know if I should keep them pushing. It's kind of moot right now. Okay, so they're dispersed. It's kind of moot, though, because it'll take us a courier to do, like, a flanking thing. So if I were to... let's see, where's my little... Okay, move to attack. Yeah, there comes a courier. Okay, and I will actually need to send you up a little bit to get within your radius. And this is all taken couriers, so... You are getting screwed up by the terrain, it looks like. Alright, we are now in the command, so we should just be able to send you forward. And I do wish that these buttons would kind of stay selected when I moved off the unit. Okay, so we've engaged the enemy, the main enemy infantry line. To win the battle, you must cause at least 65% of the enemy force points to rout before you do. The enemy force points, interesting. So 1 point per unit, plus 1 point per non-light unit, plus 1 point per general. Okay, interesting. So certain units, like the heavier and the generals, count more. So if you rout them, the light guys are not going to stick around. Nice. Units can route from steady to disrupted, which is a yellow flag, to fragmented, black flag, to routed, white flashing flag. So I guess these guys are gone, the archers that we beat in the trees. Okay, and as they drop cohesion levels, their fighting ability and odds of passing future cohesion checks reduces. Awesome. So I'm not going to read all of this right now. I'm getting, I think, the general sense of it. It seems like you would expect. The bigger, the tougher units... well, no, not bigger and tougher, but the bigger in terms of blobbier units, like warbands, mobs, and so on, and even elephants have a harder time retaining cohesion. All right. You've selected one of your mainline infantry units. In the bottom left corner of the UI, you can see the line shift mode buttons. Okay, line shift mode. Okay, no line shift mode. Okay, so guard, pushback, or... Okay, right. I haven't played with these yet. Line shift modes determine if a unit, when able, will push back enemy units in combat, fall back themselves, or hold their position or recoil altogether. Only disciplined units can elect to fall back or hold, and only cavalry can recoil. Units in pushback mode take more casualties. Okay. Below the line shift are UI toggle buttons. Alright. You can toggle off the UI. Okay, nice. We're just toggle off the unit state. You can use line shift modes tactically to try to open up gaps in the line for flanking or to keep your cav more mobile. Okay, beautiful. So you can do a can I, right? You can do a I want the middle part to sag back, right? Exactly. And your flank infantry to push back in order, which is really push forward, I guess, right? In order to see this in action as the combat's going on. All right, so let's do, we're going to have you fall back. And we're going to put you two in pushback mode. Okay? They can switch periodically to a melee passive mode. Both sides take a rest. Beautiful. That's what I thought I was seeing in the first tutorial, but are still in a combat state. That's awesome. Falling back to such a passive mode is part of the line shifting and the historical simulation pulse theory, and slows down the combat as there are no combat rounds resolved during mutual melee passive. They will still exchange some missiles if available. Awesome. I love this. Love this. Okay, so we'll just watch this resolve here. Now I can see this guy moving around. All right, you're actually firing. All right. Let's toggle the run. Where is that? Okay, you are. Yeah. Okay, they are kind of running. These guys are trying to get away from my guys. Okay, so we're falling back. And we're pushing forward. Awesome. And now I think we're entering into sort of a passive state here, where we're each taking a breather. Alright, can I fire? Maybe not. Okay, blocking line of sight. What about you? Okay, they're going to have to move to shoot. And that's going to require... a courier. Oh no. They're getting some high ground up here. You know, I'm wondering maybe if I should hit these guys with my cav instead. Okay, the enemy have begun to flee, so these guys are routing. This last tutorial window will leave you some general advice. Plan your moves out ahead of time. Yes. Keep most units close to a general. given that courier delay. You can issue waypoint commands. So I love this. You can sort of set up ahead of time. You can do this in Total War too, but in a slower paced battle, that seems like it's going to be more of a concern, because I will sometimes, you can easily imagine a situation where you'll want a cavalry unit to flank wide and then circle back to engage. So you can set that beforehand, and it's like your general giving them that order, do this, but not having to micromanage every second of it, which I love. Generally, you want to give move commands and let the units decide for themselves when to charge or who to shoot. But you can also give manual attack commands. Okay, let's just play this out. And I think we can do this without beating the general, right? So sometimes it's not entirely clear to me which unit I'm selected, but I guess it's the blue highlighted guys, yeah. Alright, I'm going to try just attacking. Move to attack. But maybe I can't. Like, it seems like there would be a sword. Maybe that's something you can select. Okay. I think we're going to do it. And let's send you up here. I know that that goes against what the tutorial just told me. Now, we're not going to be charging very well, but I still think this is going to be effective. Okay, so they're turning to face me. Some of the unit is. Interesting, but that quickly routed them. Very good, and that routed them, and I think we're going to get the end moment here, right? What's our percent? 63. Okay, we just need to get a few more guys. We need to get 66, right? I don't know if that's going to go up as we continue to chase routers. Let's speed it up. No, I guess we can't do that. Disabled after first contact. All right, are we going to have to get the general then? Alright, I guess we can't select to chase the routers. I'm just checking, just because these units seem like they're not quite interactable. Oh, but I am fighting up here. Okay, I didn't notice that. I forgot there were these guys still in the fight. Okay, so this should be the end of it. We're going to be flanking them, and I would think this is going to be it. They're dispersed now, I think. That's what that D means. Auto drop, not sure. And that's that. Recoil. Oh, we recoiled. Okay, interesting. I don't know why. I'll need to learn about that. There we go. We're going to just hit them from the back with our mercenary hoplites. Now, we're recoiling. I'm not giving this move order. I think what happened was we got too much engaged with our own men. I think that that was something I remember from the first tutorial, that you can't just, surround the enemy with a ton of guys. But there's that. All right, let's go back to the main menu here. So yeah, I really like this. There are some difficulties with reading the UI for me, because this is very new. Like I got it yesterday. I played the first basic tutorial, and what you saw me was the first engagement with the more advanced tutorial. And so then probably I'm going to just go into this, like check out the historical battle simulator. They're giving us some info about the demo. So they're only including here the plebeian Roman, the Carthaginian, late, and Pyrrhic. Oh, no elephants in the demo. That's so sad. All right. Well, we'll get them eventually. So I think I'm going to have to buy this if I want elephants. But Carthaginian is diverse and flexible. You got to have elephants, man, with the Carthaginians. And the Pyrrhic, come on. Ugh, all right. Such a tease, but, that's a way to get me to buy, I guess. So anyway, again, this is the first time looking at this menu, but really liking what I'm seeing. And the maps are really nice. I love the sound feedback when you click things. I like how you have to kind of plan ahead. This game reminds me of Knights of Honor, which relatively recently saw a remake or a remaster. And but I only ever played it in the version that came out like in the early 2000s. And that was a game where you had, I think, no control over the battlefield. And also a game that I've recently played, Chariots of War, which I'd like to show sometime as well, which was also a game that didn't give you any control on the battlefield, but you would set up the strategy or the tactics of the battlefield. So you would know roughly where the enemy was, or what units they had, basically. But you would set up your lines however you wanted, and you would give each unit like a general order, like move and engage, or charge straight forward, or flank, or hold and engage, or hold position, right? So you could basically tell your center to hold and your wings to flank, or whatever. And you would then just watch the battle as it played out. You could not intervene at all. I like this because it's a bit of a sweet spot for me in between that style and the Total War system where you have total control over every unit. So I really like not being able to micro my cav. That's, I love doing that in the games, don't get me wrong, but the fact of having to plan ahead is going to be a really interesting challenge, I think. So looking forward to this. Let me know if you've tried it, if you understand it better than I do. Please let me know what you think, if you have any insight on the development on this, because I'm very pumped. So anyway, just a quick one for today. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care until then.